how they voted on 2016 on the local marijuana business ban. So voters in Oregon basically feel the same way about legislation in theory, the way they do in practice within their own communities. This is important to know moving forward, since the politicians will sometimes oppose ideas that poll well in general because they don't believe that their voters won't really support the same ideas implemented near them. Wind farms, compost centers, and other popular environmentally beneficial projects are often opposed in practice by people who support them in general. So that's not as much the case in Oregon. By looking at it, the precincts in counties with a local marijuana ban on the ballot, it became clear that how the question was worded was very, very important. When the ballot required a yes vote to prohibit marijuana, to prohibit the marijuana business, the pro-marijuana vote was on average 6 percentage points higher than when the question was phrased so as to require yes to vote to allow the marijuana business. So, so it's quite a big difference. Versus if you look at the graph here, it's yes to allow and yes to prohibit the ballot question. So the way it's worded in this graph, you can see is very clearly quite different. So when a local ballot question really made a big difference, though, was in a small number of cities in which people had to first vote on whether or not to ban marijuana businesses in unincorporated parts of their county. Then farther down the ballot, they had to answer a question about whether they want them in the city. So when county and the city question were phrased the same, people a lot of times stayed with the trend and much more often had higher percentages of voting against the county and city ban. And when it was voted differently, they voted much lower percentages when the same questions were phrased differently. So, it's quite an understandable thing. Like, imagine you're late for work, nearing the end of your ballot, and indeed, only in these precincts did the vote on these two questions diverge significantly, which strongly indicates the variance was driven by voter confusion. So that's what happens, and that's how you know if you want to pass weed, then that's how you got to do it. All right, so yes, that's a very interesting story, all down to the wording of different questions. That's very interesting. All right, happy Friday, everybody. That's it for us today. We will see you on Sunday with a special guest.